Hello everyone, this is Professor Orlino D. Rabago Jr. In this video recording, I'm going to provide a recap of Group Number One's report about the structures of globalization. So in this particular topic, it has 4 units. So let me read to you, you can see it here. So number one, global economy. Number two, market integration. Number three, global interstate system. And the last one is the global governance. So let's first provide the concept and the background of the structures of globalization. So when we talk about the structures of globalization, so here we talk about the trade, the transactions, the engagements of the companies and even the countries in the world. So we talk about here as well the capital, the financial flow, the knowledge acquisition. We talk about here about the human capital, political, economic, socio-cultural, environment, and including health. And for number one, the global economy, so you learned in this particular unit about multinational companies, the transnational companies. You also learned here about protectionism, the trade barriers such as tariff, quota, and the policies set by the government for the import and export. Now for market integration, so here you learn about three kinds of integration. The vertical integration wherein the company sets its own subsidiary or another company where this company will provide, for example, services, goods to the main company. So that is a good example of the vertical integration. So when we talk about a horizontal integration, so here we talk about a company acquiring or merging with another company having the same line of business, and that is an example of a horizontal integration. A good example is Jollibee acquiring Mang Inasal and Chowking. Now for the third one, which is the conglomerate, so meaning a company can acquire or merge with another company having a different line of business. For example, in the case of a manufacturing of sardines, merging with a company that is manufacturing lipsticks. So what's the connection? So that company, the first company, of course, they have this what we call waste, the fish scales, and that particular waste product can be used by company B for the production of the lipstick. So that's a good example of a conglomerate integration. Now, another definition for this or another idea of the market integration could be about, let's say, a doll company cutting the supply or the production of dolls. And of course, it will significantly impact also the production of the dolls' dresses. And it can also impact, of course, the price of that in a certain geographical area, as we may call it. So I hope that you are able to understand what market integration is about. Now, for the global interstate system, here you learn about, of course, the three important things. The core, which is the industrialized countries, providing the industry, the capital, and the investments. And we have the semi-periphery countries having the same characteristics of the core countries and the periphery countries. Example, China and India. And for the periphery or periphery countries, these are the countries under the developing and or the least developed countries, such as countries in Africa, Malaysia, the Philippines. So here in the periphery countries, they provide, of course, the human capital, the raw materials, but industry and technology, they have like only minor of those. Unlike Japan, for example, they have the automotive industry, name all the brands they have, right? And they also have the technology. But in our case, we can say only maybe one or two, but in terms of providing that industry, that technology to the world, we can say that we are still lacking of such kinds. Now, for the global governance, so this has something to do with the policy or the laws or the rules set by the world to the countries to participate in solving a particular issue. For example, in the case of terrorism, in the case of pandemic, so we have the same approach, meaning all the countries in the world enable for them to eradicate or to combat terrorism or the pandemic. So they set one policy on that particular situation or issue. Now, one good example here also is the 17 Sustainable Development Goals set in the United Nations that all the countries in the world are tasked, particularly those members of the United Nations, definitely, are tasked to attain these goals following the guidelines set by the United Nations. So this is a good example of global governance. So again, this is Teacher Orly. I hope that you're able to understand the ideas of the structures of globalization in a synopsis approach. So stay safe and God bless.